All right, what's up YouTube? Today we're gonna do a quick walkthrough of my budget rowboat that I've converted into a fishing machine over the past few years. We're gonna just walk through it. Hopefully this video will help you if you're looking into, just different ideas, different ways that you can make your rowboat into a kind of a more efficient fishing vessel, if that makes sense. So let's get started. So first thing, I ended up buying this boat and trailer for $500. There's a really good market for them on Marketplace, and you can spend a pretty cheap amount and get something decent. A lot of times cosmetics and the exterior, even like the inside paint and stuff, won't look good, but you can always make that look pretty as needed. When I bought mine, it did not look as good as it does here. I did end up repainting the inside and outside and some other things as well. For starters, this is a 1973 14-foot Starcraft that I ended up buying with the trailer for around $500. There were a handful of things I did have to do to the trailer to get it in better condition. Bought new tires, greased the wheel bearings, and I did have to buy a new lights kit for the trailer lights, but all that is significantly cheap. And then here's some screenshots of some other rowboats that I found on Marketplace that are kind of similar to what this thing looked like when I bought it. All right, so a couple things that I wanted to do when I first got this thing was casting deck, troll motor on the front with a foot steer, and a primary motor in the back. So what I have here is a 2022 Mercury 99. This is a fairly newer motor, but I did have a Evinrude 6. It was a 1979 on this thing for a handful of years, and it worked perfect. And you can find a lot of good options on Marketplace. Anything from a 4 horsepower to 10 would probably be fine if you're just looking for something to, push you and your friend across the lake, at a decent amount of speed. Depending on how big you guys are, it might not get on plane, but it'll get you to the boat launch and to wherever you want to go, at a good running distance. So it definitely would work just fine. So it just kind of depends on how much money you want to spend on your outboard. But don't be afraid to look into some of the older 70s, Johnsons and Evinrudes. As long as you see them run and they're in good condition, it'll probably serve you well. So some other things, let's move forward. I did end up putting just a little seat that I bought from Bass Pro on a swivel mount. Quick idea, take it or leave it if it makes sense to you, or if you want one. It's always kind of nice to have a cushy seat. Other things I did, the curvature of the bottom of this boat gets very cumbersome and can kind of hurt your feet if you're standing for hours because it is not a flat surface. So what I ended up doing is I assembled these, varnished them, kind of made them more waterproof, and dropped these in. I did have to get a little bit creative with how they kind of went together to make them sit flat. I had to notch out a couple things. I don't know if you can see it. This one's probably a better example. Yep, right there. So I did have to notch out a couple different areas to make these sit flat and so they don't teeter when you stand and move on them. But it is a lot better having some type of flat surface, and then it's nice too because you can just pop them up, vacuum underneath, and keep it clean. As you can see, I don't really do that, but same thing in the front. Kind of narrows up here, so it's not quite as wide, but same thing. I also siliconed kind of a little holder thing. You can stick lures, pliers, jaw spreaders, whatever you need there. And really, I didn't even have to drill in. I just siliconed that on. I put a piece of duct tape on it for a couple hours, and it's perfect. So another big thing for me was the front casting deck to have a place to stand, elevate me up a little bit so I can see better into the water, and then also kind of be stable when I'm operating the foot pedal for the troll motor. So I'm going to pull this thing apart and kind of show you guys what I did real quick. So this is a piece of plywood with some cheap carpet that I bought from Menards, stapled and glued on. And I really just kind of measured, cut it out, just kind of trial and error to get it exactly how I wanted. But it does just slide, move around. It's a drop-in. It's kind of nice. Underneath, I ended up kind of framing this out with some 2x4s. A lot of creativity, trial and error, stuff like that to kind of make it work. But My casting deck sits directly on this support here and this support here. These just connect it so they don't slide. And then I used this little ledge here with another cutout of a 2x4 to rest on. Now that works just fine. I weigh about 180 pounds, supports me fine. I have no dents or anything on the outside where it's been, you know, bowing or pushing too much, and it works really good. So just a quick idea of how to get a casting deck on a rowboat. That's one way to do it. Another thing to note is when you have a casting deck, that adds area for storage. I don't know if you can see here, but I did end up screwing on a onboard battery charger, as well as my battery is underneath the front seat here, or the front bench. So that's one thing that's going to make it, you know, a lot more efficient, is having a battery that you don't have to pull out to charge every time. By having this bank charger here, everything comes out into this extension cord. So to charge it, all I need to do, pop this out, plug it into an extension cord, and let it charge overnight. So that's just one thing that kind of take into consideration, is maybe rigging something like that or something similar to it. Obviously, depending on the rowboat that you have, it might look different, or you might have to get more creative than what I did here. And then when I put in the casting deck, I did just leave a little bit of area here for all the cords and things like that, you know, so nothing gets pinched or anything like that. So let's move on to our trolling motor here. I have a Minn Kota Power Drive. You know, there's actually a really good market for them on Marketplace, of them pre-owned and being lightly used. A lot of guys will end up buying boats from Bass Pro Shop or whatever, and they come with the Power Drive, but then they want the spot lock, so they end up getting the Terrova, or, you know, whatever other models have that on them, and then they get rid of their Power Drive. So what do? They throw them on Marketplace for, you know, half the price of whatever they're worth, and you get, you know, a decent Power Drive that only has a year or two on it and is lightly used. So, you know, there's different ways you can mount them. I ended up just using this aluminum plate that came stock with the boat, and then I just reinforced it with a couple bolts. There's one on each side, and then if you pull off the plastic cover, I have a few, you know, behind there as well. And then I don't know if you can see, but there's just an extra one up front here. So that's gonna have to be more of a creative thing on your end of what you want to do with it. But that's just what I did there. So overall, that's kind of what my build is looking like right now. A lot of the things that I did to it are, you know, things that people pay thousands of dollars to have on a brand new boat. And hopefully this video helps you guys of how to understand to achieve some of those things without having to spend thousands of dollars, and, you know, just doing it on a cheap little rowboat. But whatever your goal is with your rowboat, hopefully some of these ideas will help you, and let me know if you guys have any questions. Like I said, thanks.